So my name's Hamza, and my role on Daytime Deewane is movement director. So a movement director looks at the physical life of the play. So we come in and we'll look at things like logistics. So, things like how did people move in the 90s, or what kind of dance moves are people pulling out on the dance floors, all the way to more creative stuff. So stuff like, the character of Sadiq, what kind of layers is he wearing? What are his physical layers? If he was an animal, what animal would he be? And we then work with the actors, along with the director's concept, the designer's stage design, and all the other aspects of the piece to create kind of a physical score of how the actors actually embody the role and the concepts and the themes in the piece. So the first stage is always the movement director warming up, and so we'll come in and kind of judge what's going on in the room. I think as a movement director, you've got to be really clued in to people and body language and moods, and you kind of pick up what the energy is like in the room and warm people up and prepare them to do the best that they can do on that day. So some days I might come in and I'll be like, right, we're doing strength and conditioning, right, we're doing sit-ups and press-ups and running around circles and doing all this stuff. Other days I might come in and I might be like, okay, they're clearly very tired from yesterday's push-ups and sit-ups. Today we're going to do a nice calm stretching session, or we're just going to ground ourselves and find our feet on the floor, and so get the actors and everyone kind of ready for that day. And then moving into rehearsals, we'll sometimes, like today, kind of just sit back and observe and see, okay, maybe there's a better way to climb up onto that stool, or okay, maybe there's a better way to kind of fill the space up over here. And kind of anything that's movement or physical related will be the kind of director's right-hand man for anything like that. And then other days in rehearsals, I'll be running the room and I'll be saying, okay, today we're doing animal work. I'll start the day by warming them up, and then having a chat with the actors, seeing where they're at, what their kind of interpretation is, and then bringing my own interpretation of the characters and how we kind of go about physicalizing those aspects. So the key difference I always say between a choreographer and a movement director is a choreographer often works with, will almost always work with dance and dancers a lot of the time. Whereas a movement director, it's a bit wider than that. So, dance is part of it, but like myself, I'm not dance trained. So what movement directors look at is the actual performance itself and the kind of more character work side of stuff. So yeah, it's set in a rave. So, we are there dancing, having a boogie, you might have heard us, freestyling, do all that kind of stuff, but it's not always steps and counts. It's not always do this move to this count, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's more like getting the actors to feel it in their body and to actually really embody it, for it to come from within and not from outside, and not for, it's not just me teaching you how to do it, it's actually me helping you to find it within yourself. As a movement director, that first week is just an almost overwhelming rush of information in a good way, because up to that point everything's been theoretical, everything's been on paper, black and white, words, music, audio, reading, that kind of stuff. That first week is when you first see how those words look physically, and as a movement director, that's your language. You see that and you're like, okay, now it makes sense. I'm a really kinesthetic person, and so a lot of the time when things are on paper, they don't really fully make sense to me. Numbers is not my thing either. That's why counts and all that kind of stuff I don't work with that much. But as soon as someone is acting and performing and physicalizing something, for me it's clear as day. Yeah, so when I was younger, I did a lot of physical theatre, and I know a lot of young people are exposed to physical theatre when they're kind of doing drama classes or learning about theatre and stuff like that. Works of Frantic Assembly and Gecko and Push and Deviate. And I love that kind of work. I did a lot of sports growing up, so I've always been quite a physical person, and also been a very creative person. So when I found physical theatre, I was like, brilliant, I can be creative and physical at the same time. And then that interest in physical theatre led me into directing. But when I started directing, I was like, again with the words, I'm like, I don't really enjoy picking apart huge blocks of Shakespeare and having actors stand in one spot and deliver it. So I didn't feel like I could direct that kind of stuff. And then came across movement directing. A friend of mine told me that there's this role that exists in theatre called a movement director that no one's heard about. I hadn't heard about it till I was probably about, I think 19, 20. And then, I was like, this is brilliant, because it combines my favourite things. I can direct, and it's all about movement. And I think then I found a really brilliant course at Central School of Speech and Drama that really helped me hone those skills and become, a professional standard movement director. If you're first considering it and you want to kind of sharpen those skills and hone those skills, it's not about training, it's not about doing X, Y, and Z, this course or that kind of whatever. I think it's all about digging deep within yourself, finding your interests. So how do you like to move, and why do you like to move? I can safely say I did a lot of sports growing up, and so I now know I enjoy this sort of movement because I do this kind of sport. And then taking that out from yourself into your everyday life. So looking at people, seeing how they move, and being like, oh brilliant, wow, that person, the way they're carrying that really heavy, I don't know, there's building work going outside. So if there's a builder carrying a really heavy cement block, I could use that in this play that I'm working on at the moment, where this person has to carry a really heavy suitcase. Taking inspiration from the world around you, and I think kind of seeing the world in movement is the first step to being a movement director. And then after that, it's all about, I think, finding those places where movement is supported. A lot of institutions like Half Moon Theatre is brilliant that they support movement directors and they bring movement directors onto their work. So finding those places that support movement work and getting in touch with them, dropping them a message saying, I'm interested in movement work, I'd love to come down and see, shadow a movement director or see how they work, and then chatting to that person. I think, finding your own way with it. Heart, joy, and family. It's all about taking off those layers that we wear in our everyday lives, whether that's what your stresses, your daily stresses, your work role, all that kind of stuff that weighs us down. It's about shedding those layers and just letting go and being free and being yourself. I think people should come and book a ticket because the show is an absolute celebration. The energy is infectious, but at the heart of it is a really honest and heartfelt story. It's a party and everyone's invited.